Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to this press conference, which is an update on my campaign for the Presidency of Parliament. I have with me today Chris Davies, Kartika Liotard, Angelika Werthmann and Indrek Tarand. And the purpose of today is really to give you an update, but also to launch what will be my 5-point plan or programme for the presidency. But just firstly to say a few words about where we are. I have begun to speak in all of the political groups and obviously continue to speak to individual colleagues. I can say that as at the moment I'm 2 signatures short of my 40, and I know that I will have more than 40 before the end of the day. In fact, it's going rather well. So that's where we are in terms of my candidacy. So far as the programme is concerned, you will have some details in front of you. You will see that I really want to open up decision-making in the House to make sure that this House is for all the members, to set standards, to do things practically in terms of our environmental awareness within the House, to really also underline parliamentarianism and the way we work as parliamentarians with our national and regional colleagues to hold government and executive to account, and at this very troubled time to reach out to Europe's citizens. Those are the main themes. I will stop there and perhaps ask my colleague Chris Davies to take over. Chris.
Thank you, Diana. I'm of course a member of the Audi Group and a colleague of Diana's for many years. I'm supporting her because I want the President of the Parliament to come from the Parliament and not as the result of deals between party leaders. Diana has no formal support from any political group. She certainly doesn't have the formal support of the Audi Group, but she spoke to the Audi Group last night, and I can tell you that a clear majority of those speaking from the floor, putting questions to her, express support for her presidency bid. Presidential candidates come and go, but almost without exception, they like to talk about how they want to represent the honour and dignity of the House and bring greater respect and influence for the institution. Well, that's all very well, but we also know how limited the role of the presidency can be in terms of European negotiations. I'm just an ordinary backbench member of this House who's served on the Environment Committee for 12 or 13 years. I want the presidency also to look at some of the matters which are of greatest concern to me. I want the House to which I belong, a huge office complex, a business as it is, to set high environmental standards for Europe. I want it to ensure that its energy efficiency is as good as can be, that its resource management is much better, that its CO2 emissions are reduced to lower levels. We have EMAS, we have an environmental management consultants working with us, but the standards and the ambitions that have been set for them are too low. And frankly, I have yet to see a presidency or the influence of the Secretary-General's office giving this matter as much attention as I would like to see. I'm proud to be a member of this Parliament. I would be prouder still if, as an environmentalist, I could hold up the work of this House and say, you know, this institution is setting standards for Europe in the environmental field.
Thank you very much, Chris. And if I can now turn to Kartika Liotard.
Yeah, Diane, thank you. I first of all like to thank you for having the courage to challenge the tradition of the presidency will always go to one of the main the largest political groups in the House. I think it's a good sign when MEPs step forwards and show that we want to break with this tradition. And you were in our group yesterday. I'm from a very left-wing group. And of course, we always have this feeling like, okay, we can have a social democratic president now, so it's quite left-wing, and you are a liberal. What should we do? But the things you told us yesterday about transparency, about that you want to open the debate on how are we going to spend the budgets of the parliament, how are we going to make this transparent to the public, how are we going to involve the public more, the European citizens more in what we do in the parliament. I think there you break with the traditional rules, and that's what I like very much about you. Of course, I am standing here for a very left-wing European Parliament, but on the other hand, I think when you can bring more transparency in how the Parliament functions, it will be one of the steps to more equality in small political groups and large political groups. And I think your point about the citizens should be more involved in what we do and the way you think about it, I think that's a way forward. That's why I can support you. I can talk for our whole group, but I think you did a good thing yesterday by opening up the debate how to break with old traditions in the Parliament.
Thank you. And now Indrek, Tarand.
Thanks. Yes, initially the Greens, the group I am a member of, were somewhat slow to recognize the courageous initiative we are witnessing here. And they were more thinking in terms of how it has always been in this House. However, I am pretty sure that many of the members of our group will reconsider after tonight's meeting, and we are having the privilege in the group to listen to you. Because why I'm sure that they will reconsider is that the second point in this perfect circle, which talks about serving all members, is very much in harmony with what most of the Green Group members are fighting for and believe in. I think that it's pretty tough promise to serve all the members, because when you will talk to each of us for 1 minute, it will be 12.5 hours per day. So if you devote at least quarter of an hour to each member, it will be more than 2 hours, 200 hours. So it's a tough job, and requires not only the perfect knowledge of the rules of procedure, but also a tremendous amount of emotional intelligence. And that is why I'm happy to support your candidacy, because you exactly meet these requirements. And finally, I would like to stress that that this, as I feel it, it's a sort of like a fresh breeze of democracy in action against somewhat rigid and sort of deadly practices which we don't see, which go on behind the curtains. And to be honest, I can very easily think about Diana Wallis as the next president of the European Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Indrek. I'm glad I'm not a mathematician. Angelika.
Thank you. For me, as an independent member of the European Parliament, I'm from Austria. I'm independent. I don't belong to any political group. I don't belong to any political party. When I heard that Diana is trying to put herself out for candidacy as an independent member, so to say, with no support of any political group, I had to say this is a lot of courage that she shows, and it is also very, very important that we do have an independent president here, because there are all these deals behind closed doors, and I do think that this is completely contradictory to any political democratic understanding. What we really believe in democracy, it should be an open process, it should be a vivid process, and I do think it's the right step forward to say, here I am, I'm running as an independent candidate, and I can change this, because democracy also means discussion. Discussion with the members of the European Parliament, with all the members of the European Parliament, to be here for the members of the European Parliament. It also means to work in a very effective way, to have like cooperation with national parliaments, with national parliamentarians from all different countries, from all different member states. And there is another very important point that I would like to point out. It is that we only had so far 2 women as a European Parliament's president. And I do think that this speaks probably, in my view, the most that we really urgently need a woman here, a female president here, to show that with all the strength and with courage and with cooperation, all these features, so to say, if I may say so, that Diana has, that we can run and we can do a lot more and work a lot much better for a democratic development, and to show all the members of the European Union and the world that we work very effectively, that we listen to each other, and yes, we do have a democratic process. We don't only ask for it, we do have it. And she has my strong support, I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. So you've heard that things are beginning to take off, and as I say, the programme is launched. It will be sent to every member overnight in a particularly festive way, which you will see tomorrow morning. And there we are, it's on the table, and if you have any questions, I and my colleagues will be happy to answer them. Please.
Gaspar Sebag with Europolitics. I was reading your 5 points, and the first one, you say that the communication from the Parliament needs to be politically relevant and focused. Would you agree that at the moment there are way too many own initiative reports which blur the message the Parliament is trying to get across? That would be my first question. Second of all, have you spoken to Mr. Schulz? Have you had any exchange with him? Do you feel that he might be slightly less confident at the moment, now that your candidacy is probably gaining a bit of steam? And finally, why could you explain to us why you kept your bid for EP presidency under wraps for so long? What was your motivation, and what was preventing you from actually discussing this with the ALDE group ahead of the surprise bid? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your question. With regard to own initiative reports, I think we have to achieve the right balance. On the one hand, there will be many members who want the opportunity to be able to author a report, and particularly an own initiative report, and I think that can be something that is valuable. But we also have to get in perspective that we are now very much a co-legislator, and that legislative work has to take centre stage, and that's where we need to make sure that members and our institution is properly resourced. So it's getting the right balance. But sometimes, own initiative reports can be the start of something very important. But it's how we do them, what time we devote for them, and how they are treated. The balance between them and legislative work needs to be respected. You asked me if I'd spoken to Martin Schulz. No, I haven't, and I think the question you ask is one that you should properly address to him, not to me. Why did I not come forward with my campaign earlier? A lot of colleagues had urged me to do it. I'm a cautious person. I'm actually, like many females, perhaps sometimes a bit lacking in confidence to come forward. It was a tough decision to make, but I was certain that if I did it, it was very important to do it in the way I have done it on the basis of 40 signatures. And that, to me, has been proved right, and it was proved right by the reception I had in my own group last night, and indeed by the reception I've had across Parliament. So there's nothing strange about it. It's just perhaps my own thought process, and I had to be sure it was the right moment to do it. Please.
Constable Brand from the European Voice. 2 questions. On you're setting an agenda on open decision-making. You discuss making agendas of the Bureau available. What about the decisions of the Bureau? There's always been a lot of complaints in Budgetary Control and Budgets Committee that they're informed way too late on decisions, let alone MEPs in the White House on the buildings policy. How would you change those things as President, and making the Secretariat more open and more transparent to its own members, but also to the public as a whole? And secondly, could you clarify which groups you've met with already and which you intend to meet with in the coming weeks?
First of all, with regard to the Bureau, I think in that sense I'm unique because I'm the only one of the 3 candidates who's actually had to sit on the Bureau for the last 5 years. And that gives me a sense of perhaps how it could be made to operate better. I find it extraordinary that even as a member of the Bureau, often we only get agendas 24 hours in advance. I cannot understand how we cannot organise our work to make sure that those agendas are available several days in advance. And unless there is good reason, I would wish to see them available to all members so that we can have a proper discussion. There are so many serious issues going through the Bureau. I mean, to mention but 2 at the moment, to do with security and access to the buildings, to do with buildings as a subject on its own, and of course we also have the budget process. So I really think this is a discussion that needs to be much more widely shared with individual members so that they at least have the chance, if they wish to participate, that they can speak to their own representatives. Yes, there can sometimes be issues that maybe can't be published in advance, but to do with staff, etc. But by and large, I can see no reason why not. Reporting back, the minutes are so long and detailed. I would prefer to see something like, you know, a one side of A4, if I can put it that way, with main points reporting back. We know that in each Bureau meeting there are 2 or 3 items that will be the main focus of discussion. Those should be available so that members can see in a simple way what has happened. Thank you. Oh, sorry. The groups. I have spoken so far to the EFD group, to the GUE group, to my own, the ALDE group. Tonight I will speak in the Green group and the EPP. It is likely that I will speak in the ECR in January. I am dealing with what will happen with the S&D group, but I anticipate at this stage it will be January. Anything else? Does anything any of my colleagues would like to add? So thank you all very much for your interest, and I will let you know the next instalment as things progress. Thank you.